Welcome to the And Go Podcast, Friday edition. We're talking about subversive superheroes still. If you want to hear our breakdown of top 10 subversive superheroes, check out the Tuesday top 10. So, yeah, subversive superheroes, specifically Umbrella Academy, the boys, are numbers 1 and 2. And go!
Well, where do we start with this bag of tricks? I guess we start with the known. Umbrella Academy has a second season, and
I was going to say, yeah, second
some
season
people
just hit.
say it's better than the first season, which I
Wow,
can't
rare
argue
praise.
with. It's definitely a different mood. They do more the
I like
time
the first
travel
season better.
trope, which always gets weird. Don't you agree?
Bill, you said you
Yeah.
liked the first season better?
I think I like the first season better, to be honest, yeah. So, I don't know. Just,
Too new.
this one seems to move a little slower. Which tends to happen, you get a second, third season, they slow it down a bit, so.
Yeah, I really hated the new addition in the new season. Layla, whatever her name is.
Okay, yeah.
Diago's crazy, not so
So
crazy
say spoiler
girlfriend.
alert for all of this, so.
Right, yeah,
listening
so...
to this,
Well,
we're
she's-
going to go through a bunch of spoilers for the new season, so.
Yeah, we'll try to
Put
keep
my
them
headset
light.
down.
But
I haven't seen
the new character,
Yeah.
I did not like her.
Just seemed unnecessary, to be honest. I don't like.
Did you get through
I
the
mean,
whole
she-
season?
I'm down to I think the last episode, maybe last 2 episodes. So,
Okay.
so yes, don't spoil the ending for me either. So,
Okay, I'm just asking. But as an actress, I don't know if she just was a bad fit. I was curious about it. Supposedly she hasn't been in much except for British television. That would make sense. I think she won a British soap op award. And you know
BAFTA?
how I could be mixing it up with another person. I look up actresses and actors all the time to see new actors and actresses all the time to try to figure out why I didn't like them or why I do like them. You know that sort of stuff. I was
Sure.
surprised with Five. The character who plays Five is really 16, and he hasn't done much. But I actually like
that kid's
Five.
brilliant, man. He's like my favorite character in the show, season 1 and 2.
Of course,
I
it's a
feel
great
like
character.
he honestly is probably the best actor in the show, and really carries a lot of it. Well, when you think about like the role that he's playing,
Yeah, he plays old.
he's-
A
right, he
spoiler
plays an old
again.
man trapped in a kid's body. So
Yeah.
So and the action
And not only
scenes
is he
with him is the
old,
coolest.
It's like not only is he old, but he's also supposed to be like one of the best assassins ever.
Yep, I think that's due mainly to his power, but
Yeah, I'm sure it is. In part.
I mean, if Nightcrawler wasn't such a freaking church boy, he probably could be a good assassin.
For sure.
I feel like that's my biggest frustration with the show, and honestly, a lot of superhero stuff, especially things like shows like this or comics like this that are kind of more offbeat. Is the characters never seem to use their powers either in the correct way or in instances where it would easily get them out of trouble.
Well, Five definitely does that. Uses his powers all the time. He
He's
uses it
like
for
the only
mundane
one-
thing.
Yeah, he's the only one that really uses his powers like a lot, I would
Yeah.
say.
Oh, you have pizza in the fridge. Psst. Opening the fridge,
Yeah.
and you see him
But even
overexert
him,
his
like
powers.
sometimes, I'm like, why is he chasing people on foot? Why doesn't he just,
Well, I think in actual combat, there does get to certain points where his power becomes weakened. It might. I don't know if that's the way it's designed or if that's literally like when he's fighting the Swedes in the series. He's like, "Oh shit!"
Well, it's just there's a couple of moments like when I don't remember when they're in like the warehouse where it's kind of like the weird mannequins in the fake office and shit when they were trying to track down their father in the second season, and there's like all the locked doors. I'm like, so why wouldn't you just like phase through the door or teleport through the doors to see what's in there?
Do you have to have seen? Maybe he has to have seen
Yeah, I mean,
the
maybe there's
place?
like a danger of rematerializing inside of a desk.
No,
or
I
something.
don't really
know.
think that works. I think his powers just work based on the laws of writing. Is it better for him to write, to use his power or not?
Yeah.
In that same realm, though, it is that sounds interesting how they work some humanity into it. Like, what would you really use your powers for? And I think any person off the street that you gave some sort of phasing ability, they are going to abuse it to do stuff like get the slice of pizza.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm sure they have some qualms about, well, I can just phase in there and stab him in the heart real quick and fucking get out. You know, because then maybe you've done that once or twice and you didn't really like how you felt afterwards, you know?
Yeah.
Some sort of
5 is like
watered
Super
down Code of the
Saiyan of
West.
Assassin, so he wouldn't have any quarrels.
He
Practically
does
a
get pretty
sociopath.
brutal, which is kind of weird because you're seeing this like young teenage kid become the most brutal killer out of all of them, and doesn't even seem to really bat an eye. Like you could tell he doesn't want to do it in some of the cases, but he's just kind of like, whatever, got to be done. Bye, you know.
It'd be an interesting arc if, like, he ended up being
Like the new season
scarred
why
or
they have the
remorseful.
commissary. Sorry to cut you off, Mike.
good.
New season, the commissary, you sort of get a look into about the internal working and just not Miss Handler and her douchiness and Hazel and Cha-Cha.
Oh, you talking about the like
Yeah, you get to...
time travel police or whatever?
Yeah, and they're really bad at it, but maybe that's a sort of take on any government organization.
I think that's part of it. Is they're just supposed to be like highly bureaucratic and controlled by this mysterious group of directors that just kind of do whatever they feel like, and then they hide behind a bunch of rules, you know.
Yeah, like they let the world in. Oh, it's what it's supposed to be. Why?
Yeah, that made no sense either to me either. So
No,
I think the one I'm most frustrated by out of all of the people in the show, and because of this, she's the one I've come to
Diego.
hate the most, is Allison. She has arguably one of the most powerful powers if used correctly, and she just... I get it. I get the whole, like, oh, it messed up my life and I don't want to use my powers anymore thing, but come on. And talking about the freaking apocalypse, and she's like, I'm not going to use my powers. Or, like, I don't know, her husband getting his ass handed to him and shit and on multiple occasions. And I don't know, I'm like, she could do so much with her powers. Just doesn't. And Mike, I don't know if you've read anything about what their powers are, but she has like the power of suggestion. So she has this thing.
I heard a rumor.
She calls it rumoring, yeah. So she'll say, "I've heard a rumor," and then whatever she tells the person next, they have to do. So she'll be like, "I heard a rumor that your head exploded, and heads will explode," or that you punched yourself in the face, and they'll, you know. She
Sure.
uses it a couple of times in the second season, finally, but even still. It's I find myself constantly frustrated. Like, you could easily fix this entire problem right now if you just used your power, you know.
I think maybe what they should do is build in some sort of mana system that they explained, you know? Like, just have the character break down after one episode of doing using suggestion or rumor. And I mean, that was really physically taxing. I felt taxed by that. The bigger the lie, the bigger the damage or whatever.
Yeah, there you go.
And then it would make it more poignant on the season finale or whatever, where they're like, they tell the biggest lie and they're not sure if they're going to live through.
Yeah, survive, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they go for more emotional beats. 5 is
That was a
pretty
pretty
much
emotional
a
beat.
remorseless
She
killer.
almost sacrificed herself?
And they really
Speaking of
underutilized...
sacrificing yourself, like, at what point does Vanya just need to, like, go, man? I mean, how many apocalypse events is she gonna cause by not being able to control her powers?
Well, that's the father's fault. The father's a real dumbass.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's his
Doesn't matter whose
but
fault it
goddamn.
is. Yeah. At what point do you...
And she, like, knows it, which is also frustrating. Because she's like, I'm so emotional and I can't control my powers. Everybody's gonna die. And I'm like, oh my god, this is getting old. Like, literally twice, man. twice you end the world because you can't frickin' handle your shit.
Could you even kill her?
Well, technically, the second time, again, spoiler, she did not end the world with her powers. First time, yeah, undoubtedly.
She would have, though.
It was inadvertently. And this is where probably some of the commentary comes in, because subversive superheroes gotta be commentary. Well, generally, they do have commentary aspects. Like you see it in The Boys, sorry to switch the subjects, the corporation. They definitely make Vault look like corporate America, and they are corporate America.
I feel like that's kind of the way it would go, though. I mean,
if superheroes were around, yeah, they would pretty much be corporatized.
Doing, like, fucking Nike advertisements.
Yeah, sponsorships.
Yeah, and all that kind of shit.
Why not?
Yeah.
There was a whole... I know there was a whole series where basically superheroes got sponsorships. Mm-hmm. Basically just paraded around with that. Pretty much like race car drivers.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, you see it every day.
Yeah, I like the fact that they address that in some way, because almost every superhero story you ever hear, like origin story and shit, there's always some independently wealthy person, whether it's Batman or Tony Stark or whoever, that's like funding shit so that they really don't have to worry about the whole how am I going to make a living aspect. Unless you have like a Superman thing, I suppose.
I mean, I feel like the majority, well, the ones on the... Because eventually the Avengers are pretty well funded, right? They're living in Avengers Tower. And
right.
I guess that's from Tony Stark anyway. But, I don't know. I thought of Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, test pilot. Probably a decent living. Kyle Rayner, cartoonist. So...
I wonder if that was some projecting. Make your superhero into basically your profession with Kyle Rayner.
Sure. Yeah.
Self-insert.
You got like Professor X, So.
I'm sure it is just easier when they're rich, though.
Well, when you're a telepath, I'm sure you pretty much can do anything you want.
See, that's the thing, though. Like, you could say, okay, well, they have powers, but what are they using their powers for that kind of shit? Like, Blade, when he kills a bad guy, he fucking takes all their jewels and shit.
Yeah, but he lives on the DL. They probably do some counterfeit and shit. Supernatural. That's a good series to explain this. Basically, they're criminals. They do schemes to fund their activities, demon hunting activities.
Well, that's the thing. So then, like, you kind of have the flawed superhero, and that's kind of what The Boys does too, because they're they fucking sell out to sponsors and this big corporation and shit because they're like, I can be fucking famous.
They're human.
I can be rich. Right, exactly. They're human. They just have powers.
You made it in the 7.
Yeah, yeah.
And I tried rewatching The Boys last night. I must say, that's a hard first episode to get through.
Yeah.
Just the very beginning. I knew it was coming, and I'm still like, oh, shit, this was harsh. Then in the same episode, you had the Deep coming on to...
Yeah.
I just watched it yesterday, and I forget what her superhero name. Starlight? Starset? Whatever her name is.
That was gross.
I watched a trailer recently.
But realistic. Sadly realistic.
Yep. Corporate
all
culture.
Like, I'm one of the 7.
Well, in the original comic book, it was all the guys from the 7 who are like, give me a blowjob. But that was a lot more crude. The comic book's a lot more crude. I think the TV adaptation was better overall. Different mediums, you gotta choose a choice. And of course, the writer was just sort of a edgelord, so to speak. Preacher, The Boys. Personally, from what I know about the comic book,
what's gonna freak out the normies?
Well, in the comic book, The Boys actually had superpowers. there was a drug that gives people superpowers, and all of them had super strength. Not just, I think it was the Asian chick, is the only one of them with superpowers in that. So it makes them have to be more creative. They also have,
and they didn't grow up with it, so that I feel like it makes a difference if you grow up with superpowers. I would think that if you had superpowers since you were a child, maybe have more respect for it and are a little more reserved than if you got them later in life.
See, I don't know though, because the main dude from The Boys, he was a kid, right?
Homelander.
Yeah.
He had powers as a kid.
Yes, I'm saying he had powers as a kid.
Spoiler, I don't know how far you're into The Boys. Should I spoil this?
I mean, I saw the whole first season.
Yeah, he was pretty much a vault experimental baby.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
They used the drug. I think Starlight, whatever her name is. Also,
don't they sort of indicate that all of them are?
Yeah, most likely they were all exposed to this certain thing that gets abused by A-Train.
Yeah. Because it was developed as like a drug.
And it has various effects on
heroin or something, but it
Yeah.
Because that's the superheroes use the drug to juice themselves, so it's like a steroid or that kind of shit.
Yeah, they definitely made it a pretty much addictive drug. What did that A-Train's girlfriend do? Let me not spoil that, but she does something rather rough on whatever it's called, X something. I really should have rewatched it before this podcast, but everyone...
When's the new season drop?
September.
September, yeah. Okay, yeah. I knew it was coming up here soon.
So we have some times off from that.
So what do you think of the new season of Umbrella Academy overall? Did you like it? Did you better or worse than the first?
They had a better resolution. It still had that cliffhanger ending. Well,
yeah,
they had the resolution, yet, so. But they sort of had something hinting at season 3, which I think is confirmed. I think I read.
I think I saw that too. Yeah. So there's something that's typical, fair for a television show, right?
In the time travel paradox, I just gotta be like, okay.
Yeah,
I have to brush
it aside. They
have
a weird kind of thing with time travel anyway.
There is one part, I don't know if you got to it. It's funny the way they pull it off. Overall, Umbrella Academy.
Travel?
Huh?
Time travel wise, or just
yes, time travel. I don't know if you got into the episode, but they get really
the one with
up.
Him meeting himself, I think was the last one I just saw. Is that the part you're talking about?
Yep.
Yeah, the time travel psychosis or whatever they talk about.
Yeah, it's funny and
it's hilarious.
You don't think about it. That's the way I do it.
Yeah.
Don't think about how freaking psychotic and wrong all of this is when it comes to time travel.
It's kind of interesting that they don't venture into the multi-worlds theory with time travel. So it
would have to be given.
It seems like they pretty much stay with. I mean, I could be wrong, but it looks like they stay with one timeline and just whatever meddling goes on, changes the timeline altogether.
I think it's the Back to the Future timeline.
That's what it sounds like.
I don't know, though, because they don't talk about it skewing off. It's just kind of like whatever changes happen, that's it. It ripples out.
Yeah.
And then they have a monitoring system.
Well, see, there's no monitoring with that because that means that everything has already happened. Everything will happen.
Well, I think the only thing that they account for is that the group that monitors the timeline exists outside of the timeline, as far as I can tell.
So what's their motive?
They're just to keep mankind or whatever in the timeline, straight.
That suits them best.
Right. Well, that's the kind of the idea is that they're kind of a corrupt bureaucracy.
I'm sure that's what it sounds like. Yeah.
Because they have assassins and I don't know. It's a whole deal that
they're
just
making
kinda,
whatever timeline they want.
right. They direct the timeline, and there's people who like fuck it up, and so it's got its flaws, but overall I like it. I like the show.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, obviously, I'm bad at homework. I've been meaning to watch Umbrella Academy. I've heard really good things about Umbrella Academy. Just haven't gotten around to watching it. And The Boys. Alex thought I'd really like The Boys.
Yeah,
but I never
you'll
know
like
when he
both of
says.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you'll like both of them.
So no disrespect that I didn't check it out. I don't know, man. I don't know why it's hard for me to. Maybe commercials have scarred me, but it's hard for me to just.
Oh yeah,
sit
I
down
couldn't
and watch
regular TV anymore. There's no way.
television.
I can't do it. As soon as the first commercial comes on, I'm like done.
Yeah, I like to interact with my media a little bit.
Games.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It depends on my mood and like how tired I am.
that's
It seems
fair.
like the more tired I am, the more I'd rather watch Netflix or something.
Sure, just put it on. Forget.
Yeah, just because your brain doesn't have to, handle playing a video game or whatever. Even if
Yeah.
it's not something competitive, like I don't know, sometimes I'm even too tired to play like Fallout or something. I'll just
I
throw
get
on
it, yeah.
Netflix. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think of these cinematic video game experiences David Lynch is famous for? All his Heavy Rain, Two Souls with Ellen Page, funny enough.
I like Ellen Page. I hate QuickTime events. Well, QuickTime events were cool in Resident Evil 4. They
Do you
haven't
like
been
Ellen
cool.
Page? I feel like she's
Yeah.
overrated.
Yeah,
No, I think
definitely
she's rated
overrated.
appropriately. She doesn't come up often. I love Anna Kendrick. I like Ellen Page. I love Anna Kendrick. Anna Kendrick is overrated.
Well,
I
at least
could
you
see
can
that.
admit that.
I could see that.
There's
She's
a
hot,
lot of
though,
actors
so.
that I like who I think are overrated. I mean,
See, I
Yeah.
don't know, just Ellen Page. I know that that's a lot of the writing for her characters, including for Umbrella Academy. She just falls flat. I'm like, I don't know. Just don't get a whole lot of emotion out of her. You know what I mean? So like the character for me, you're like, why is she even on my screen? You know what I mean? Like almost everything I ever watched. Like you could pluck Ellen Page out of most of her roles and not even notice she's gone.
yeah, definitely the second season tried to put more emotional beats in that I couldn't give a damn about. Like the love story between Vanya and Miss Farmer and her
Yeah, but even
autistic
that,
child.
like, she just didn't seem to have a whole lot of emotion. I don't know if it's her as an actress or if it's just the way she's directed or written. I don't know, but like I really can't stand many of her movies. I didn't like Juno. I didn't. No.
I liked her in Super. I liked her in Juno.
So I don't know.
Well, she was paired well with Michael Cera, who I think is a very
was paired well with Michael
specific
Cera.
actor. I
He
mean,
is. He outgrew
I don't
his-
think he's a good actor, but he's good. He's generally
He
good
plays
in the
that role well.
roles.
Yeah.
Yeah, he nailed it.
Just-
He time and place guy. He did a great job of nailing Scott Pilgrim.
Yes, but if you saw
The
him in
Blues,
anything else where he didn't play
Superbad.
that type of character, I don't think he could pull it off.
Yeah.
Arrested Development was what I was thinking of. Juno.
Oh, yeah.
Great. And then he
Like,
tried to,
almost-
I feel like, I don't mean to make this the Michael Cera podcast, but he tried that movie where he was like the bad twin or whatever. He was the inner demon of the guy, where he played two roles. The main guy and his like inner demon who had like a mustache and was badass and shit.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
I think
Yeah,
I saw
vaguely
previews
remember
for
that.
it.
Yeah, I didn't actually see the movie, but I got the feeling that was him trying to break away from the role he was typecast in, and it just didn't work.
Who are your favorite characters from Umbrella Academy, Brian?
Well, of course, 5. We all agree on that.
Yeah, 5. Yeah.
I prefer 11.
I love
Klaus
Klaus.
is also good.
Yeah.
Gorilla Boy has his moments. Just because I hate Diego.
He's boring to me too. Diego's just frustratingly stupid. You're
Yeah.
like, for God's sakes, man, get your head out of your ass. Like, I know you hate your father. Let's move on for a second.
Never.
Gorilla Boy's name is escaping me right now. Number 1.
Yeah.
Beast Boy. Optimus Primate.
That's a good one.
That's just how forgettable he is. I mean, I think he has a better role in this, but they still underutilize him in both series.
Yeah, just kind of again, his character
Is
really
mopey.
doesn't have much reason for being there.
Yeah.
Like, would anything about the season change if his character was suddenly gone?
I think that's sort of the subversive twist on Umbrella Academy. He used to be the leader, the number 1 who led the group, and now he's just lost. He's like...
Yeah, I feel like they should have played that up more. And from what I've heard, the comic does.
Okay.
But for some reason, the show didn't. I don't know for length or what the deal was, but...
Well, as I said, I like the Boys television adaptation from what I know about the comic book. Because I don't actually read comic books because I grew up being poor. And as you know, poor kids don't develop that habit of comic books because we can't feed it.
Yep.
So I watched a lot of YouTube videos about the story, and I went over the Boys and Umbrella Academy.
Does
Umbrella
Comic Storian
Academy.
have a thing? Comic Storian?
Oh, comic historian? Yeah, I don't really like his voice that much, so I rarely go to him.
I love his voice.
Okay. You like
Yeah, I
his
mean,
voice?
whatever. Yeah, you don't like it, I like it.
He seems a
That's all
little
I'm
snide, you know.
He does get a little bit dickish, a little oily sometimes. Not
Okay,
gonna lie.
I like comics trope guy, but he usually doesn't
Comics
spoil.
Okay, I'll look that up.
But there's another guy who did
About
like the
comic
whole
book guy.
Boys when the TV series came out, so I caught it. I think it was
Worst
The Boys
show
Explained.
ever.
He wasn't annoying, he was just boring, but he explained the plot line enough.
Did you know that there was a brief mention of Clone High and Into the Spider-Verse? Because one of the producers worked on both shows.
No,
I
I
did
did
not.
not.
Now you do.
Sweet.
What was the reference?
There's a billboard with JFK and Abe Lincoln on it
Oh, okay.
Nice.
from the cartoon.
That throwback. Well, that was a underrated television show.
That was an
think-
underrated time for MTV animation. Beyond Beavis and
Yeah.
Butthead.
And Ren and Stimpy, I think, was MTV also.
I don't think so. I
Or,
think it was
oh,
Nickelodeon.
was that Nickelodeon? Oh, God.
Yeah. Yeah, they had
Maybe
the
I'm
Max
thinking
and
they
the
did a lot of
Flux.
reruns of Ren and Stimpy.
Probably.
What did you think of Klaus, Brian?
Klaus was a great character. I mean,
Reminds me of you if you had fun.
I want to know more. Do you agree with Bill's synopsis there, Brian?
Well, Klaus is a bit of a dick, and he's a complete another drug addict. So, for me to I'm sure if I was a drug addict, I would have just as much fun as Klaus. Especially if I could see the dead and, go back in time and pass myself off as a prophet. Yeah, and if I was a little bit more gay. I'm a little gay.
I love the cult thing. I thought that was hilarious. That he accidentally creates this cult and is just so annoyed by it.
That is hilarious. And I think Klaus and Ben's relationship really shines this season. They really give Ben some more respect before the very end.
I feel like Klaus is kind of like you and Mike put together. On
I
drugs.
can see that. On heroin.
Yeah, or some,
This
whatever.
is Mike's and Brian's grade on heroin.
Well, because for the most part, it's actually he drinks. But he's sober for years, which is the funny part. So it's just kind of this I don't know, remnants of what you can tell is heavy drug and alcohol abuse.
Yeah,
but,
man. Even though I don't like almost any of the characters, I like Five. I like Klaus. He annoys me. I almost doesn't like any of the other characters. I almost like the villains better. As much of a bitch as the handler is, she's a great villain.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So Brian,
you hate her, but you're supposed to hate her that much, and that's what makes it good.
I even I think Mary J. Blige, Cha-Cha better than most of the characters. She was the weakest. Hazel was definitely the stronger of that pair, Cha-Cha and Hazel.
Mm-hmm.
But they gave him more character by giving him a love interest. Donut Lady. It's It's hilarious. I mean, I think personally, rewatchability Umbrella Academy has better watchability because it's more fun. Totally nonsense. As I said, you have to suspend. You got to turn off your suspension of disbelief completely for all the time travel shenanigans they get into. But it's generally a fun story. The Boys is much more serious. They hit a lot more serious topics.
So that's the DC side of the subversive universe. And then
probably
Umbrella Academy is more on the Marvel side.
And it's based off of DC characters, I think, for the most part.
Justice League.
It's Justice League, yeah. I mean, almost, straight rip-offs.
This is why I like what Alan Moore did with Watchmen. I know you hate that movie, but the concept of it evolved. They turned Superman, because he couldn't use Superman because of various reasons or personal choice, they made him pretty much into a god, and it worked in that storyline. The comedian, it's sort of a throwback to the Joker if he was good, so to speak. It was an interesting perversion of the DC, but The Boys was a lot more one-to-one.
It was a perversion, all right.
It was very perverted.
Yeah.
Purple penises everywhere. Oh, yeah. Well, you got a little bit to it in the top 10. Well, let's just throw Watchmen out there for a minute. What was No, sorry. Forget I said anything.
Goddamn Watchmen.
We want to keep this podcast roughly an hour. And you could probably go on for a half hour with all your problems with the Watchmen. At least the movie.
So let me ask you this, Brian. Where am I in relation to you on your screen?
I put myself in the middle.
Okay, but are you like Neapolitan? Are we Neapolitan style? So am I on your left or right?
Oh, sorry, you're on my left.
Okay, so if I go to my right, we can fusion, huh?
No.
Oh.
You would have to go the other way.
Okay, so...
Yeah, you and Bill confusion, huh?
No, you and me, man, because Bill said that...
I have the
what's his name?
Okay.
Yeah.
Fusion.
Fusion! Ha! Wait.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Fusion.
Fusion.
Ah! What would our name be if we fused? Like Goku and
Broke.
Vegito.
Broke.
I think Brike.
Right.
Oh, God.
Brike. That sounds like a DVD
Mayan.
name. Brike.
Mikean.
No, I like Brike. Brike. Okay, but that aside.
Edit that in. Back when Bill was talking.
You distracted me, Mike. I had a point.
Yeah, well, I had a point too. I've been saving that since Bill brought up. It's like if Brian and Mike were combined into one thing.
Hey, I'm the anime geek. Why did you bring up the DBZ fusion thing?
Because that's hardly anime, guys. It's like super mainstream. As an anime geek, you shouldn't bring up the easy DBZ reference. No. I should.
I'm a little shocked that Brian hasn't gotten to that point where he just rejects things like Dragon Ball Z as anime.
No.
Ugh.
I think it's more of a comedy. When they do the comedy beats in that series, it's actually better. Great Saiyan Man. The Great Saiyan Man was actually a good rip on Superman. It was one of the filler sort of sections between the Buu saga.
I remember Great Saiyan Man. I don't get how he was Superman. I guess Alien Child. Well, Goku was Superman.
Yeah, Goku, but his son was Gohan. And he did the Great Saiyan Man, which was almost a play off of Superman.
He's no longer Superman, in my opinion.
Huh?
Goku was the real Superman parable. Was Great Saiyan Man supposed to be super? I don't get that.
It was just a sort of fun section where Gohan goes to high school.
I remember it. I'm just saying, I don't see it as Superman.
I think it's just generic superhero kind of thing.
It might have been more
I'm the Great Saiyan.
But that sort of was making fun. That was the minor subversion from the battle and just sort of superhero staying as a superhero. And that was interesting. But the Boys definitely had more of that DC vibe to it. The Seven. You know, you had the Superman analog, the Wonder Woman. In reality, they tried to make, of course, the Deep
Why does
was.
Green Lantern never get any love when it comes to that stuff either? Do people
I was
just
gonna
forget
ask.
that
I
Green
think
Lantern
it's
is
a
part
ripoff.
of the
I
Justice
think they
League?
can't parody that too well because copyright. They could get sued. It's a little bit more distinguishing.
Sure.
You'd have to have someone control energy. I mean, it's not that hard.
I know we
think,
bring this up every time, but it is kind of irritating that they've left him out of like Justice League movie and a bunch of.
Okay, you're talking about in DC.
Well, no,
Yeah.
or like whenever somebody makes fun of Justice League, they leave out Green Lantern. I mean, I know that he's probably not. I don't know how like OG he is as a character. I don't know.
a good
when
question.
He brought him into the. But I mean, as far as most of my life reading comics, he's always been part of the Justice League. So
More OG than Cyborg, I can guarantee you that.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, same deal.
It doesn't
You're
even, for the parodies, it doesn't even have to be a ring. Just
No, it could be anything.
say he's charged. You don't even have to say it's any
necklace.
object. Yeah, a necklace. He's
There you go.
charged, and he had the fingernail that shows up once every 7 billion fucking people born of a certain species because of some continuous string of energy. Some bullshit.
Wristwatch, something. Give him a bracelet. There you go.
Hat,
Yeah,
toe ring,
the blue flashlight.
the blue flashlight. Let his light shine bright with
The orange
Duracell.
candle.
Orange candle.
Do I want to know
It's
what you two are
the
talking about now?
Smoky
Still Green Lantern?
exhaust.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just feel like what the hell. I think the biggest problem is having the two overpowered characters. I think
Sure.
they're like, we don't even know what the fuck to do with Superman or the Superman character when they make fun of him. So, what do we do with the second one?
I would love to see a slightly humanized Green Lantern, though. That, maybe... Because in order for the ring to be really overpowered, you have to think of the exact thing you need in that moment. It's not like you can take years and be like, oh, I can make a kryptonite cannon for Superman. It's all happening at once, right? So you have to...
Could Green
Try a
Lantern
few
make
things.
kryptonite with his material?
I think technically he can make anything he can think of, yeah.
Yes, but would it have the same properties as kryptonite?
Yeah, I don't know. Because the
It'd
things
be
he
a little
makes
bit
usually doesn't have
overpowered.
the properties of the thing. It's like the force shield.
See, that's the thing.
version
I
of
think
it.
if he creates a machine gun, I think the damage he's doing is what a bullet would do, not what
Yeah,
a...
it's
but
like a
that would be
holodeck
hard to
bullet.
replicate. Does that mean he could make a woman and basically have sex with the energy projectile and it would feel like a real woman?
Probably. But would it have a baby? See what I mean?
Yeah. Would it have a baby? That's a better question.
Yeah.
I just wanted to go with a very perverted.
I always thought of Green Lantern like the holodeck. Like he can make stuff,
Yeah.
but in reality, it's just hologram and force field type of deal.
Which
Because
I
like
never
you could shoot a
understood
gun
in
in a
hologram.
holodeck.
How
and
could
it
you
would-
make a hologram feel like a person?
They use like force fields. So
Yeah, but how would you make a force field feel like skin?
I mean, I guess that it's like anything else that is just figuring out how human perception of like the different textures and being able to have something, firm, soft, whatever, and just be able to replicate that with force fields.
Here's my argument. Reg Baker, I believe his name was, holodecked that contraption where he could control the Enterprise. You know what I'm talking about in Next Generation on the holodeck?
Barclay?
Reg. Barclay,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
He made that whole thing. The
was
holodeck
an
didn't even know how to
interface.
make it. And but the holodeck made the parts, and then it interfaced with the Enterprise.
It's also
Yeah,
the
yeah.
replicator is also built into the system.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you could make the hologram. When people are eating in the holodeck, it's replicated food.
Food.
All I'm saying is he had to make some raw materials, I'm sure, to interface with.
like Picard in First Contact explains to the woman from on the planet
From
about
Earth,
the
yeah,
gun And
Yeah.
she's like, well, I thought you said it was all holograms. He's like, well, there's
turned off
force
the setting.
fields, and without the safeties, it does the same damage as a real bullet. But then when they end the program, everything just disappears. You know.
But they were
It's
still
not
dead.
like it's not like it created a bullet that's now on the floor. You know, they were still holographic bullets.
They were also still dead, though.
Yeah, no, it can be made. The impact can be made real, but the thing itself is not actually real. It's like ramming a small force field through somebody the same way a bullet would.
Well, technically, if you had an energy field in the holodeck and someone shot you with a gun when the safeties are off, since it would be a force field against a force field, like energy deflection, it would be more energy. But that's neither here nor there. I just wanted to make that comparison.
Would be interesting though if it was like the matter energy conversion from like replicator, so that everything in the holodeck was actually real, but was converted back to energy at the end. But that's not really the way they explain it. So I don't know.
Okay, Bill, I think to close this out, each one of us should pick a series and try to convince Mike to watch one of them. I think that's the best way to close this out, Bill.
Let me put on my best skeptical
it's my
face.
suggestion, so you pick the series that you want to try to convince Mike of.
I mean,
And
why
you can
not
ask
watch one of the ones
question,
we
Mike.
talked about? So. I mean, why not watch, one of the ones we've talked about, I guess.
That's
you
what
know,
I'm
if
saying.
you-
Try to convince him the Umbrella Academy or The Boys, and I'll do the other one.
Knowing me, what are your... And you've tried to sell me on it. You
Try
guys
to
have done a
convince
great job.
I feel like if I really had to pick, I think you would like Umbrella Academy.
Why?
Explain why he would like it.
I don't know. It's just kind of, it's got that more offbeat, hipstery feel. It's got a really good soundtrack.
Okay.
Kind of
Okay, I
zany
like that.
characters.
I like Zany. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of good action. So not just action for action's sake. That kind of stuff.
Sure.
Decent stories.
Okay, now Mike, The Boys. I think that's more up to your speed, because you like Super, right? Dark, gritty version
do.
of superheroes. I mean, Umbrella Academy is a fun frenzy with great action sequences, but it does not have the mind games like Super had. They play some serious mind games. I mean, originally Simon Pegg, they used Simon Pegg as Huey, and they got him as his father, even though he wasn't in the comic. So you got that Simon Pegg
Simon Pegg's in
vibe
The
of
Boys?
basically, the main character was based off of Simon Pegg in the comic book. So they got him to play the father, but you got that sort of,
Well, hold on. They got him to be the father in the show?
yeah, they got him to do
Yeah.
the show. They got his permission
Continue.
to use his likeness for the comic and got him to play the actor in the show.
Continue, sir.
Okay.
Although in a limited role, just to be clear.
Okay.
I mean, and why it's harsher to watch in the Umbrella Academy, which is fun and frenzy. It's got a lot of great character moments, interactions. Humans, not humans. Plus, they kill a superhero by putting a bomb up his butt. Just
This is
In The
pretty
Boys?
awesome. Yep. Have to try to kill this guy with indestructible skin. So what do? How do you kill him? Bomb up the butt. There's a lot of little crazy little things in here I think you'll appreciate. And the human aspect, since they made the boys not superhuman, you pretty much are normal guys versus superheroes. I think that's more your speed, Mike. And the twist. Also, all the cast is much better than Umbrella Academy. Billy Baxter, Huey, Mama's Milk.
Ooh.
There's a black dude named Mama's Milk.
They definitely have good characters.
Then they
in
have the Frenchman,
The Boys,
whatever his name
but
is.
I don't know, man.
Hot Asian chick.
Five and Klaus are really good characters and really well acted. They're better actors than anything in The Boys.
Yeah, I will.
I'm
agree with
trying to
that.
keep just to these arguments that you've made today in the last part of this podcast. But I can't help but remember Klaus is like a combination of me and Brian, so I want to see what that looks like.
Fusion.
Ha!
Especially vintage Mike and Brian.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wild and crazy guys.
Driving around in a fucking Ford Escort, smoking a bunch of cigarettes and listening to Modest Mouse over and over again. So these bugs are like auras, and the guy sees them. His name is Jason.
Oh, man, you brought it up.
But I remembered Brian up top. So ultimately, I'm going to have to go with the boys, especially because I don't have Prime. But I'm very interested in the boys. If I got some time off coming up, guys, in September.
So which one you are going with? Are you going with the boys or
I'm going? No, I'm going with Umbrella Academy. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Did I speak? Yeah. Normally, I know.
I honestly think they're both really good, so they're both worth a watch.
This was a fun game, but I think I tried to stay objective and just with the arguments, but I couldn't help but remember the Brian Mike hybrid character.
So you want to see this
plus
hybrid
Ellen
character.
Page, which I think Bill forgot to mention. So,
Well,
Lord.
No, I
because she shouldn't be mentioned. She's a detraction from the show.
Yeah.
A good detraction, but still detraction.
I disagree with what you're saying, even though I haven't seen the source material.
Exactly.
But I
know
also
nothing of what
propped
you're
up.
speaking about, but I disagree strongly with it.
To be fair, I gave you the points for Simon Pegg, and I haven't seen him in one fucking frame of that show. So thanks for tuning in. Catch us back here on Tuesday for a Top 10 Tuesday, and every Friday for a longer form podcast. Don't forget to tell us how much you think a Brian Mike hybrid would suck in the comments below. And we will see you next time. Bye.